Hello, beautiful. Today, I'm so excited to welcome back a very special guest. She was actually on the podcast almost 2 years ago to discuss fat phobia, and I am very excited for our chat today. In case you didn't listen to our first episode, she is a neurodivergent therapist and body image counselor and coach. She is down to earth, compassionate, and a wealth of knowledge. She is Jess Fry. Welcome back to Your Body is Not the Problem podcast.
Thank you so much. I love that little intro. Thank you.
Well, I was thinking because the first episode I did the "Who's that
Uh-huh.
girl?" It's Jess, and I was like, "Oh, I can't outdo that one." But
I mean,
I
I
mean,
think you matched it. It was good.
thank you. I'm just very excited to have you here today. But for those who maybe didn't listen to the first episode, do you mind telling us a bit more about you, please, and your body image journey?
Sure. So, a little update since I was last here. I am a licensed therapist in Pennsylvania, but now I am licensed in New Jersey as well. So, that's exciting. A little expansion to see more clients. I specialize in seeing women, especially neurodivergent women. And so that niche has really come from my own journey and my own healing. I have ADHD. I struggled with body image. I had eating disorders for several years, but didn't realize I had those struggles until it was kind of right in my face. And I was helping another client figure it out for themselves. And so I have taken that life experience, done all of the learning and the healing I needed to do. And now it's my whole career passion of helping other women like me.
Well, thank you because what you do is so powerful and so important. And like, I know for myself when I first like found your content and the things that you share, I'm just like, give me everything, please. Like, this is so good. And like, you as a person is just like, I think who you get this kind of information from matters. And it's like
Mhm.
whether or not it's going to resonate or not. And just like, again, buckle in for this episode, guys, because I can just promise you it's going to be so good. But I think
I'm
it's
so
also it's also really nice to hear and have the examples of like you don't have to continue hating your body. You don't have to like there are resources that you can use to get help, whether it's for eating disorders or body image distress. So I am excited to dive in, and I figured we could maybe do an episode about summertime because I understand that it can bring a lot of stress to people while it is my favorite season. And I was going to ask you, what is your favorite season?
spring. And actually, it's interesting you ask because for the longest time it was fall. And I
Mhm.
would say they are almost tied, but I have been leaning into spring more these last few years. So I'm loving the time right now.
That's awesome. I saw in your story that you have like a cherry blossom tree outside your window. I was like, I think I would love spring too if I had that outside of my window. It's so pretty.
The house that we landed, we found in the dead middle of summer. And so after being there almost a full year, all of the trees surrounding our house started blooming and they're all pink and they're different shades of pink. And I don't know how like we were graced with that. I'm so obsessed. I can't even begin to explain it to you.
I love that so much. And for those who are listening and not watching, we're both wearing pink. So, like, pink flowers, pink shirts,
Mhm.
it's pink everything. And it's not even Wednesday. You can wear pink whenever you want.
Amen.
But so I figured we could maybe create like a picnic toolbox, kind of, if you would, for summer of mindset shifts and tools that can help you to actually enjoy summer and have fun and that be your focus rather than insecurities and maybe like canceling plans because you're just not feeling good in your skin. And so I figured we could dive right into insecurities if that works.
I love the picnic basket idea too.
Thank you. I came up with that. I was like, wait, that was actually good.
Beautiful.
So there are many that will refuse to wear clothes that are more comfortable in warmer weather because of their insecurities. And so, what would you say to your best friend who, let's say, is wearing a long sleeve shirt in summer because they're insecure about their arms?
Well, that best friend used to be me. I would wear sweatshirts, hoodies, long pants all summer long for the longest time, and grew up with a family who did the same. So it was kind of just modeled to me that if it's something you don't like, you better cover it up. And not until I did the work did I realize that covering it up was actually just prolonging the shame and making that makes your brain believe you can't handle the discomfort. And so, to the best friend, depending on my relationship with them and where they're at in their journey, would be, dependent on my gentleness, but just encouraging there is no need to cover up because you deserve to feel the sun on your skin, and covering up only causes more discomfort. I remember being in it wasn't just long sleeves, it was black long sleeves because, we were conditioned that black is slimming. So if you're going to wear something, it might as well be quote unquote flattering. So then you're having the added layer of the heat and the black and the long sleeves. And when you're feeling physically uncomfortable, your awareness is so much more highlighted on your body that you're kind of just causing this counterproductive situation for yourself. You're trying so hard to avoid thinking about your body when you're just magnifying it.
That is so true. That's such a good way of putting it. That the one thing that you're trying to prevent, you're just aggravating more.
Mhm.
It's a very good way of putting it. I think that, especially living in Florida, because it's like 20, 30 degrees all year long, I find it really interesting that there are so many women I see walking around wearing like jeans when it's like 40 degrees even. And I always say to grandmas, like, I would argue 90% of them, which I mean, maybe makes sense because 9 out of 10 women don't like their body, but 90% of them are insecure about their legs. And that is why they're wearing the jeans. That is why they're wearing the leggings in summertime in Florida, is not because it's actually what they want to wear or that they think is like more fashionable.
Completely.
Yeah. And it's like, again, you deserve to feel good and you deserve to wear what you want in summer, and you don't deserve that discomfort that you think you should take on so that you can prevent the discomfort of others. Like your arms aren't hurting anyone else.
Amen. And it's also not a overnight shift. It's
Mhm.
not, looking at the best friend and saying, "You're actually making it harder on yourself." So then they automatically change into a tank top, but it's those gradual mindset shifts of, why am I covering up my arms and what am I hoping to gain from that? And is it actually serving me, or is it causing me more shame? And in turn, is that making this even harder? And then what small challenges can you put in place? One that I prefer to recommend is kind of like a little test run in your house where you feel comfortable. So if it's wearing shorts, that's really, really hard. Try wearing capris. Let's start there and gradually get you to a place where shorts become less scary. But if you have to wear the shorts in your house and walk around um, in maybe clothes you wouldn't typically wear when you're lounging, but just to get comfortable with catching your reflection and seeing yourself, seeing your thighs maybe very rarely. So you're seeing them for the first time. And I know that as the weather has changed these last few weeks, seeing the color of my legs, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I forgot that that's the shade of skin I have when it hasn't seen the sun in a long time." And I still need to have that kind of exposure gradually to feel more confident in, like, yeah, these are what my legs look like, and there's nothing good, bad, or anything about it. That's just what they are. But sometimes we have to expose ourselves over time, and it becomes more and more uh, palpable to take on.
For sure. I mean, for so many, winter, at least from my perspective in Ottawa, winter was like 7 to 8 months of the year. So it's like you're going to go 6, 7+ months wearing long sleeves, wearing pants because it's like it's cold out. You need them. And then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, it's really warm. I kind of want to wear shorts." And then you've gone so long though without seeing them. And I think it's also common for us who struggle with our body image to like not look in the mirror when you get out of the shower. So it's like you really are doing everything you can not to look at your body, and I think summer almost forces us to look at our bodies in a different way. But the the tip you were sharing to, like, start wearing it in your house, that is how I started wearing crop tops. Was I was horrified to wear them out in public, and so I would, like, wear it in our house because I think we can get in our heads of, like, "Oh, it's my body, that's the reason why I can't wear this crop top or why I'm too nervous to wear it," but you just aren't comfortable wearing it yet because you haven't worn it. Like, how is your body doesn't know how it feels like when you sit in it. Your body doesn't know how it feels when you move in it. And it's like getting comfortable with that rather than thinking your body has to change to wear it. But I think it's a lot easier to get comfortable wearing these things when you do it in the safety of your own house.
Yes. And so if somebody has maybe tried that piece and they're like, okay, well, what then what? It can be at whatever pace works for you, where mentioning crop tops, what I had to do for that was starting wearing them at home when I was alone.
Mhm.
Then it was wearing it at home when my husband was home. And that in and of itself was a shift. And then it was, okay, can I wear it out in my backyard? And if a neighbor happens to come over and start talking to me, like I need to check in with how I'm feeling and process that. And then it was, okay, I have an errand to run, but it requires just a drive-through experience to maybe pick up a prescription. And so I can be in the car and I don't have to get out. And quite literally mapping it out for yourself to just gently pushing that envelope a little bit further and checking in without judgment and with grace and curiosity, and just seeing how it feels.
I love that because, yeah, again, you don't want to go from wearing a sweater to a crop top. That will feel like a shock to the system.
Totally.
And if you have these experiences also when you do try wearing a crop top and then you let it get to a point where it's just, like, still so uncomfortable, you're not gonna wanna try again. So I
Mm.
feel like doing it in bursts, like how you said, it's like wear it at your house without anyone else home. Do it in moments where you can do it in a way that feels good and stop, I think, maybe right as you get to your limit or just before so that you are encouraged to try again.
And I really like to highlight realistic expectations, because maybe you're listening and you're like, okay, but why do I have to wear a crop top? You don't. You
Nope.
absolutely don't. And so this would be solely for clothes that you want to wear, but you're afraid to, or you've appreciated the style or what they look like or what they provide to you, but society has discouraged you from trying. For example, I don't ever see myself wearing a bikini because that's just not for me. It never has been, even when I was in a body that society would have encouraged wearing that kind of swimsuit, just never worked for me, never liked them. But I've been gradually able to push the envelope gently with what style more coverage of a bathing suit provides and figuring out that's comfortable for me. But I don't have to push myself fully to a string bikini. That's just not me. So also keeping in mind, like, if the crop top isn't fitting your specific experience, replace it with the item of clothing that does fit.
I appreciate you sharing that so much. Also, fun fact, those string bikinis are illegal on some Florida beaches. Fun fact for you. Yep, I didn't know that. I didn't get in
Many
trouble or
questions.
anything, but yeah, I know that again for myself. There's been so many things that is like based off of society's expectations. I'm like, oh, I need to wear this. Like, Graham will find me attractive. I need to wear this in summer because that's what everyone else is wearing. And it's like, I don't really want to, but, like, I feel like I have to. So I think it's a great reminder that's like, you don't have to wear a crop top. You don't have to wear pink like we are. You don't have to wear what you don't wanna wear. But do you have any, like, affirmations or mantras or new thoughts that have helped you neutralize your insecurities?
I really like making it as versatile as possible so that it
Mhm.
can be, you take it and you fit it into what works for you. In terms of neutrality, when you're looking in the mirror and maybe it is the crop top that you're working on becoming more comfortable wearing because you want to wear it. And you have stretch marks on your stomach, and those feel like you can't see past them. That's all that you see. And asking yourself, again, gently and with kindness, the way you would maybe ask a friend, what am I attaching to that that's causing this reaction? Because maybe you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, insecure, what have you, questioning what is it that I'm attaching to that that's leading to feeling that way. And then when you can name it, trying to neutralize it. So maybe society has taught me that stretch marks are ugly, for example. Can we neutralize that stretch marks happen because skin compresses and expands because our bodies are intricately intelligent and can be as flexible as that through every stage of life? How incredible is that? And
Yep.
and just naming like stretch marks are natural. I've been doing this with body hair recently because that's one that I'm in my own journey right now of trying to just neutralize for myself where I want to be more accepting of just allowing my body to be. But I'm also still grappling with, ooh, but I've always been, exposed to women with very smooth, shiny, perfectly moisturized tan legs. And so it's hard moving away from that. And so natural or neutralizing, like hair is natural. And the only reason we've been conditioned to believe that it's dirty or it's gross or it's whatever have you is so that people could sell razors. Like that, if we really break it down, it always comes back to serving someone else and filling someone else's pockets. So neutralizing this is my body in its natural state and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, your insecurities make so many industries so much money.
So
But there was one day that I was in a Bed Bath& and Beyond with my brother and Graham, and I think I had seen this, like, fancy hair removal tool, and I was like, "Oh, like, I wanna go see if I could find that here. I don't know how much it is, blah, blah, blah," and still in my head of, like, "Oh, that's something I should be doing XYZ." It's like, challenge that thought. And my brother's like, "I find it so weird that girls find the need to, like, remove hair for it to just grow back. It's like, maybe it's supposed to be there. If it's just gonna keep growing back, maybe it's just, supposed to be there. That's okay." And I'm like, "Well, thanks, brother."
what how long ago was that?
We lived in Florida, so
Okay, so not too long.
yeah, maybe 2023, I think?
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, it's so funny how sometimes I'll just be like talking to my brothers and I'll say something. I'm like, almost all girls think or people think of like, oh, I need to remove my body hair or whatever it might be. My brothers will just be like, that's so stupid. I'm like, obviously not to invalidate because we've been influenced to think these things. Like, you're not crazy for thinking them, but they're not actually helpful. And so to just hear my brothers be like, what? I don't have a thigh gap. I've never had a thigh gap. You don't need one of those. And it's like, you don't need to remove your body hair. I'm like, what the heck? Can you scream that from the rooftops, please?
What a helpful, like, brotherly perspective.
Yeah, but and I think it's interesting though because they just take it so like logical and neutral almost. There's no one else's opinions or fears or judgment laced into their thoughts around that stuff, which maybe is because their beauty standards are different. So like they're not, I would say, unless you're like a swimmer, most guys aren't shaving their legs or anything like that. And so like it's different for them so they can take a more neutral approach. So maybe if you want to challenge some insecurities, you want to ask your husband, what do you think of this?
Yes. Or just maybe we should, get your brother a phone line and anybody who needs a neutral tip on beauty standards could just give him a call.
There you go. I got three older brothers. You can pick one to talk to.
I love that though. That's sometimes the like slap of reality that hopefully from that relationship is still, sprinkled with love and care.
Mhm.
but just that perspective that hasn't necessarily been programmed the way that ours have of like, oh wait, yeah, that is a really good point. Why do I care about that?
Exactly. What would you say to someone who has the thought, when I lose 10 pounds, then I will wear or I will feel XYZ?
There's so many things I want to say. I like to start with when has the 10 pounds been enough? Because I haven't I, work with clients in this space every day, and talking to people in my personal life and then again with my own experience, I haven't met a single person who has set a goal with a number in terms of how much they weigh, and they've ever met that goal and said, "Okay, I'm good. I
Could
did
you
it."
imagine? That'd be wild.
Right. So really, I imagine if somebody's saying that, that's not their first rodeo. They've
Mhm.
been through that cycle before. And so having them reflect on how that's worked in the past. And oftentimes when you've cyclically dieted and you've yo-yoed in your weight, you've gained it back or you've gained more back. And so typically a person has the ability to look back at a smaller version of themselves. And as long as it isn't triggering, depending on where they are, look back, even if it's just in your memories of when you were in a smaller body, how did you feel in shorts? What what was the internal dialogue going on for you when you were looking in the mirror or when you were shopping for shorts or when you were wearing them or trying them on? Like what was different for you 10 pounds ago, 20 pounds ago, whatever it happens to be? And also, why 10? Like where are we coming up with these arbitrary numbers and what does the weight loss actually accomplish? Like really just getting curious about what the goal is or what the expectation is, because so many of us have been programmed to believe that we can improve our body image by changing our bodies physically. And that's just not how it works because body image is all about mental shifts. It's all up here. It's what we think, it's how we perceive ourselves. And so if you're only focused on the physicality of it and you're not doing anything to change the way that you're thinking, you're going to keep finding yourself in this same cycle time after time after time. So let's
Yeah.
get curious about what you can change mentally first and then go from there.
Yeah. Such a good point. I think that one thing that lately I've been enjoying thinking about is like pretend like you're a lawyer and fight for the good guys for once. Like stop fighting for the bad guys and start fighting for the good guys. So it's like find the proof of all the times where it's like you haven't actually felt good in the shorts when you were 10 pounds lighter. I think of a photo and it's from 2013, 2014 maybe, and it was like a fun family outing with Graham's parents. I was the smallest I've ever been. It was high school. And so for me, that was the smallest I've ever been. And you can see it in the photos. I'm like hunched over, still trying to cover my stomach, and I still felt so insecure. And so it's like for myself, it took thinking back to that time. I was like, oh yeah, 10 more pounds, not gonna do it. Cause your body has never been the problem.
And I could go on and on about just the question. If we're looking for true body acceptance and we're only focused on, oh, that can happen when I'm 10 pounds lighter, your body is meant to change and grow. And if you're only focused on accepting her at 10 pounds lighter, what happens when she's 9 pounds lighter?
Hmm.
What happens when she's 9 pounds heavier? Like the true healing happens when you can expand that to be any size, any weight. And so if we're solely focusing on making it such a narrow time frame, like that 1 second of time when you captured it in a photo, that when you look at your whole life line is such a short amount, it's such a small period of time. So also challenging like, oh, how long is that even going to last if I do succeed at losing the 10 pounds? Let's instead try to shift the way you're thinking about your body at every size.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Another thing that comes along with summer is typically a lot of barbecues and parties and foods that we maybe don't see as much in winter, especially if it's like -30 in Ottawa. You're probably not going to go for an ice cream. But if it's +30, you might be like, damn, an ice cream sounds so freaking good right now.
Ice cream
So,
sounds good at every temperature,
okay, fair, fair.
but I get what you're saying.
Um, What mindset shifts would you recommend for someone who will be eating around many others at barbecues and parties and are maybe fearing like, "Oh, they're gonna judge me for what I'm eating or how much I'm eating?"
Such a good question. I don't know why. I know this isn't what you're asking, but this tip is like screaming at me in my brain to share anyway. Helpful for the picnic basket, making sure that you're nourished before you get there, and not
Ooh.
from the aspect of like, oh, let me eat before I go so that I don't eat in front of people. Rather, let me eat normally as I would any other day, so that I'm not saving up for those good foods. Uh, Good meaning like I can't wait to have them. Because then when you're in that environment and you're surrounded by all that food and you're on an empty stomach, you're going to feel out of control around it. So start with setting yourself up to eat, to be nourished, and to eat. I keep saying normally, I'm trying to find a synonym for that, but just intuitively, like you just to be able to eat
Yeah.
intuitively to meet
Yeah.
uh your needs in that time. So that is where I would start if you're planning
Mhm.
more like that. Another thought that comes to mind is really focusing on and being grateful for seasonal experiences. They only come around once a year. I think about this more with seasonal drinks for some reason. So, if a peppermint latte is your thing, places don't serve that all year round. Barbecues don't happen in
Mhm.
the middle of December. So really channeling the focus on, oh my gosh, we get to do this only for a few months of every year. I want to focus on how I'm feeling, what it is I get to do, the people I get to see, the nostalgia of like hearing kids running through the yard and hearing the grill and the burgers flipping and I don't know, the sprinkler going back and forth. Like those are experiences we don't get to have often. And if we're so wrapped up in what if somebody sees me eating, doing a human biological thing, we miss out on the actual whole point of it all.
Mhm. Yeah, there was both of our friends, like our first friends that we made when we moved here, they now live in California, but before they both moved, we had a moment to get to hang out with them a couple weeks ago. And I only just started reintroducing dairy into my life. Um, and so Graham and our friend, when they realized, they're like, "Oh my God, you can have real ice cream." We had like gone out for dinner and then we were like walking back to the cars and we're like, let's go get ice cream. And having like real dairy ice cream with our friends though, and it's like, oh, we had just gone out for dinner, we had just done a nice walk and chatted and all these things. It was like the full experience that like just made my heart and my soul feel so happy. And I think that's like one of the reasons why I asked the question, I think, because I don't want people to like miss out on like the full experiences of things. And I know my old diety brain was like, I'm not missing out on anything. I don't need those things. And it's like, okay, and there is another option. Like you can have the barbecue food and you can have the ice cream and you can have the fun seasonal drinks and you're still gonna be okay.
And giving yourself that permission allows you to make the intuitive decisions for yourself. The same way that we were talking about clothing. I know I don't have to wear a string bikini. I know I don't have to wear a crop top. But if I give myself permission to access and have and wear any of those things if I wanted to, it creates such a different feeling
Mhm.
experience around it all. So if you're going to a barbecue and you allow yourself the ability to participate in all things barbecue related, there's such a different experience in that rather than restricting yourself from certain aspects. So, sure, maybe you don't need the corn on the cob because that's just not your thing. That's fine. But if you're demonizing it and making it seem like it's this awful thing, that's a whole different experience.
Such a great point because yeah, in my diety brain back in the day, I was vilifying everything. And I was like, "Oh, I'm such a better person because I
Oh,
can go to that barbecue and not have that stuff." And I'm like, "I'm so much better than you." It's like, "No, I wasn't." I was mentally struggling so much. I still didn't feel good in my body. That 10 pounds was not enough. And that's all because of how I was thinking and feeling, and not because my body was actually the problem. And so I think I appreciate that clarification of like, you don't have to have the ice cream, but you also don't have to say you can't have the ice cream.
and it sounds, when we say it back to back, so minor, like it's such a small shift, but until you've actually implemented it, you don't realize how enormous of a change it makes. Like it changes
Mhm.
so much when you're able to finally put that in place.
Yeah. So, this is your challenge. Time for you to try putting that in place and just like, I mean, listening to this episode and what we're sharing, find like one thing and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to try that out. I'm going to experiment, see how it feels." And then maybe it doesn't feel so great, so you try the next thing that we share. But don't give up and keep trying. And we're here if you have questions. And I think another thing, kind of in relation to like barbecues and parties, is just like less structure with our summers typically. And I think that a lot of us have the belief that if we're not in the gym 5+ days a week, if we're not on a diet, like all hell's gonna break loose. And I think that is exaggerated in summer. How do you navigate body image in a less structured day to day season?
That's a really good question. I don't know if I've ever been asked that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a new one. My brain's going 1,000 miles a minute because there's like, oh, let me point that out, but let me also do,
Yep.
and I don't know where to start. Okay, so with less structure, I guess I would, if let's say a client were to ask me that question, my
Mhm.
first thought would be, what do we mean by structure? Because if structure is causing you to feel safe and protected, let's challenge that. Because same concept with the food, right? If we're putting so much structure around what can I eat and how much can I eat, and oh, I already put the potato salad on my plate, so the pasta salad would be too much, and I need to stay structured. Like, is the structure serving you, or is it this false sense of control that actually is causing more anxiety? That would be something I would want to explore first. But then going into, what is the purpose of your gym days? What do you enjoy about them? Why do you go 5 days a week? Is there any reason behind five? And what does it provide for you? And how does that change or shift from December to June? So let's name them, right? If you're able to say, well, I have more energy when I find myself going to the gym consistently, or I have more stamina, or I just feel more flexible. I can move my body more with, less stress or whatever the case might be. Great. How are you able to find those things through the activities you're doing when you're less structured in summer? Because I know you've been playing pickleball more with your friends, and I've heard that you went to the beach and you swam for like 4 hours the other day. And so, really getting a sense of like, it, we don't have to find exact replacements, but if we can be more flexible in recognizing that all movement is helpful and beneficial for us, and we're not, tally marking and writing down and tracking every number. And I'm trying to not make it so layered, but and we're trying to focus on how we're feeling and that being the actual point,
Mhm.
then I think the lack of structure doesn't necessarily equate to less exercise or feeling less comfortable in your skin.
Yeah, I think we can get in our heads of like, "Oh, if I'm not in the gym, like, it doesn't count, and it's, like, not good enough." And I think we don't give enough credit to the other ways that we can move our bodies. It's like, I have maybe gone to the gym twice, like in a physical gym, twice in almost a year.
I hate
And
the
yet,
gym.
yeah, there you go. And that's perfectly fine because there's so many fun ways to move your body that don't have to be in a gym. And I think we don't, society hasn't let us give enough credit to all the other ways that can feel so much better to us for moving our bodies. And so, yeah, I think finding all of the other ways that's like if you're playing pickleball, if you're swimming, maybe it's just a season of rest. And that's a-okay. You have permission, you didn't need it, but you have it to actually just let your body chill for once.
And if we're focusing on the helpful things that
Mhm.
moving your body provides, and it's more energy or more motivation or more clarity or better sleep, how are you finding that in ways that don't even involve moving? Like maybe you've been more social because it's nicer out and people, have less on their plates and so they're able to do more. That's also a huge benefit that you aren't able to get or in another season, or you have more access to vitamin D, you're spending more time in fresh air. Like these are also huge benefits that you wouldn't be able to get if you were stuffing yourself in the gym versus choosing another activity that only comes around once a year.
Yeah, it's like I'll have the thought of like, "Oh, I really feel like I wanna move my body right now." And I'm like, "And a gym sounds horrible because it's sunny outside, and, like, I haven't had fresh air today." So it's like, I wanna go outside. And it's also just funny because 'cause you're like, other things can energize you. I'm almost an extrovert now, which is just, like, wild to me because 'cause I've always been such an
Shift of
introvert.
environment in
Pardon?
moving. Do you think that's the shift of environment in moving?
Yes. We are way more social here. And I think because we don't have winter, it also helps us to be more social. But I think we've had a really good and easy time of making new friends. And I think that has helped a lot. But I get so much energy now being surrounded by good humans that I'm like, I used to think I could only do that in like a gym and like, oh, I had to have pre workout and all this stuff. I'm like, no, you just maybe need some sunshine in your life. And maybe that comes in human form. So,
Oh,
fun
amen.
fun
I'm so
fact,
happy for you.
I'm social now, thank you.
I love that.
My parents are always like, "What do you mean you're going out again? What do you mean you got home at midnight? Are you okay?" I was like, "Guys, I'm great. What the heck?" Grandma would be like, "Leah, it's 7 o'clock. We should go home." I was like, "All my friends are here. Go away, Graham. Like, take yourself home."
You're like aging backwards. You're like
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Yep. So, since you've already been on the podcast, I have 2 new last questions to ask you. The first one is, what has been the best thing you've learned as an adult in your body image journey that has been really impactful for you?
And I share something that I don't know if I've necessarily heard it from someone else, but I've, through my own processing, have just come to it.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of us hear and say, like, you don't have to love your body to do this work. And I've been doing so much reflection on that and figuring out why that hasn't sat with me, even though I've said it. Uh, and I think it's because that's just not why we're here. And if we really say what we're meaning, it's not that you don't have to love your body, it's that you don't have to be attracted to your body. And when we can really just like be direct about it, it opens up so much more for us to explore. And we weren't meant to see ourselves the way that we see ourselves today. And with that, we weren't meant to pick apart and study every aspect of what we happen to look like. So, getting back to what the point is, I feel like I've said that a lot today, and remembering that you weren't put on this earth to be attractive to yourself or to anyone else, and that your body isn't meant to be on display uh, as some kind of like ornamental aesthetic, but instead it's here to serve the purpose of allowing you to experience this life, and in turn does so much for you. And when you can shift that perspective, the body feels more important, but in such a different way. So, yeah, I would say that in my adult life, that's been the biggest thing I've learned.
That seriously is so powerful. When you can get more direct of like you what you actually mean is like you don't have to be attracted is like that really does when you say things more directly like that, it really does shift in your brain, I think. So, thank you for sharing that. I think that was really powerful. The second question is which I you semi already answered this earlier, but
Uh-oh.
what's one goal you have for your body image right now?
Oh, yeah, I have said this. Let me think if I have another one. No, I think that's really the one that I've been working on the most is accepting the natural hair that grows on my body. And this is truly, it's been a work in progress, a gradual one, and similar to this, overtime exposure with crop tops and things like that. It has been exposure of, like, allowing my hairy legs to be out in the house and just getting more comfortable with looking down and being like, "Oh, wow, I that's not usually what I see, and that's okay. I didn't put it there. It literally comes on its own, like, that is what's meant to happen, and there's nothing bad or good about it," and just continuously repeating and reframing those things, and now as the weather is getting warmer, it does get harder because I'm like, "Ooh, I can't just expose myself here in the privacy and comfort of my own home. I have to start wearing less clothes to be able to be okay outside." And so now I'm really in it. Like, I'm really deeply in it right now, and it is challenging, but if I could tell anybody anything, it's the more grace and compassion and curiosity you meet yourself with takes you so much further because we're already met with so much judgment and so much criticism. And you have shamed your way through this process in every single way that you can. And that hasn't ever worked. So be kind, and it takes you so much further.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think just like every other thing that we've been taught to be insecure about, so many of us like just haven't had the opportunity to question them and challenge them. And I think it is helpful to hear others being like, "Oh, I don't need to do that." And you're like, "Wait, what do you mean we don't have to do that?" So I appreciate you sharing that. And just in general, thank you so much for all of your time that you've shared with us today. And again, your wealth of knowledge and your compassion is just like, feel like I
You.
fangirl when I get to talk to you. I'm like, Jess, wow.
You're the best. Can we just hug and be like
Yes,
hug together?
please. Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you do on this podcast, everything that you share. And I think that this is so important. I'm glad that when you said you were doing another episode, I was like, oh, yes, please. I'm ready. Let's go.
Well, with everything we shared, maybe we have to have a third one at some point.
I
So,
think that's an obvious yes.
okay, perfect. Well, look forward to that, everyone. But thank you again. And I will share all of your contacts in the show notes so you can scroll down and check out Jess's content and possibly work with her. And I mean, I if you don't want to check out her content after listening to this, do I want to be your friend? No, I'm joking. I'll still be your friend, maybe, but
I can't be everyone's cup of tea, and that's fine. For those who I am, come join. There's
yes.
lots more where this came from.
Amazing. So, thank you again so much. And just remember that your body is not the problem.